with the release of the Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection, and this being the year of Battle Network. Today's video is focusing on the main men of that series, the ultimate duo of justice. No, not that guy from space. I'm Rockman HQ, and let's jack into this basics on Lan and MegaMan.EXE.
プラグインロックマンエグゼトランスミッション
Mega Man Battle Network focuses on two individuals who are the main protagonists. One of them lives in the real world like me and you. Lan Hikari, also known as Neto in Japan, is an 11-year-old boy who loves to surf the web with his best friend and NetNavi, MegaMan.EXE. Lan follows in his dad and grandpa's footsteps, wearing similar clothing to them, as he's always seen wearing an orange vest over a long-sleeve white shirt with a pair of black shorts. His look wouldn't be complete without his family crest, which he has on his trademark blue headband. Lan enjoys soccer and inline skating, as he's seen always traveling by a pair of slap-on wheels. He has an open mind when it comes to food and enjoys trying all sorts of different dishes. On the other end, Mega Man is an AI who roams through the cyberworld and lives in an advanced cell phone known as a personal terminal, or PET for short. Mega Man has a look that's like a dark blue wetsuit, with the traditional bulky arms and legs. His shoulders have some yellow armor, and he comes loaded with an interesting looking backpack. On his chest is the Hikari family symbol. His helmet is very much like the classic Mega Man's, with yellow parts instead of light blue, and emblems for ears rather than the red crystals. He also has spiky hair sticking out the back of his helmet. And then while in battle, Mega Man activates a face mask that covers everything below his eyes. Like many people of today with their phones, Lan and Mega are inseparable. They make an amazing team and can act in perfect synchronization, even though the two are opposites. Mega Man is calm, polite, and diligent in his duties, often reminding Lan of his. Meanwhile, Lan is headstrong, outgoing, and lazy. So lazy that being late is just one of his notable traits. However, while opposite in many things, the two share a strong sense of justice and selflessness, putting themselves in harm's way to ensure their friend's safety. Years ago, there was a crazy skilled scientist named Yuichiro Hikari, son of the famous Tadashi Hikari, who was the founder of the internet. Yuichiro would eventually fall in love and marry a lady by the name of Haruka, and in their early 20s, they would give birth to twin boys, Lan Hikari and Hub Hikari. While Lan would grow up to be a healthy boy, Hub, however, succumbed to a heart disease known as HBD. Now, I'm not a medical expert, but there doesn't appear to be anything in the medical world that is currently known as HBD. So this rare condition that Hub suffers from is exclusive to the Battle Network universe. While Hub was weak and unable to make it, Yuichiro had an idea. He had been working on a program for the ultimate Navi. He had experimented with the idea of using human DNA, and had 95% of the program complete. It wasn't until he had DNA that matched that he figured it out. Being as Lan and Hub were twins, their DNA would be the same, and thus allowed him to complete his program. Hub was then reborn as the NetNavi MegaMan.EXE. However, there was a small change in the programming by 0.001%. If kept at 100%, there was a chance that the operator and Navi would synchronize, and the two would share one another's pain. While Yuichiro held onto the remaining DNA patch known as Hub.Bat, he asked Mega Man to keep his identity a secret from Lan. And so, the two grew up together with a bond as strong as brothers. Throughout the games, the duo take on various world threats that all seem to happen in the time span of a year and a half, as the series starts with Lan age 11 in the 5th grade, and ends with him graduating from 6th grade at age 12. Quite a lot happens in that time, and it's overall pretty crazy to think about. They thwart the terrorist organization World 3 4 times, dissolved the Net Mafia Gospel, fend off an asteroid that housed an alien Navi who judged the world as evil and set it for deletion, halted the production of dark chips, while also disbanding the Net Syndicate Nebula, and took control of an almighty cyber beast. While containing the said beast was rough, Mega Man eventually fended it off, a task unfathomed by any scientist until then. And as if that wasn't enough, the two even took down an independent Navi born from cache data, who plagued the net with copies of other Navis. And then they fended off an ancient program, the Trojan Horse, which would have destroyed the modern world had it been released. While the two do many good deeds throughout the saga, they are not immune to being manipulated or making simple mistakes. When attempting to fix the waterworks, Lan makes a mistake and releases polluted water. The two are also manipulated into sabotaging Scilab, resulting in not only massive damage, but hospitalizing their own father. They've even been pushed to believe that Chad and Proto Man were members of Gospel, and went hard enough on them to actually delete Proto Man. The two even have moments where they fight with one another, usually ending in Lan rage quitting the conversation and throwing his PET. One instance of this cost him all his battle chips and Zenny. The two eventually atone for their actions, but these instances are good showings that even the main heroes are not perfect. Outside of saving the world, Mega Man and Lan are a source of hope for many. Arguably, they could be considered influencers. There are a few moments, but in one such instance, Lan befriends a small boy named Mamoru, who's been stuck in the hospital his whole life, and looks up to Lan as a contestant in the N1 Grand Prix tournament. Mamoru suffers from HPD, something that Mega Man picked up on having suffered from it himself. The two learn of a new surgery to help HPD and talk to Mamoru about it, but he's just fed up with trying all different surgeries. In a completely selfless act, Lan and Mega take to gifting Mamoru a token of friendship, which is the elusive Ice Ball and Battle Chip, in exchange for him actually trying the surgery. Even during the surgery, the two stay in the hospital fending off an attack on the system that, if failed, could end Mamoru's life. When not interfering with world disasters, our boys enjoy taking part in net battle tournaments, in various online competitions. They partake in the Grand N1 tournament, where they fight their way to the top, only to have the event suspended right before the finale. However, later on they would eventually become the champions of the worldwide Red Sun Blue Moon tournament. Later on in life, Lan settles down to become a scientist working for Scilab in his father's footsteps. He ended up marrying his childhood friend Male, and having a son named Patch. The strongest tool to the two heroes is their bond. They've grown up together, they know everything about one another, and the two share one another's passions and interests. The bond between the two is brought up in every game as a source of their power. Installing Hub.Bat and supercharging Mega Man and Battle Network 1 was only the first instance of this. We see this connection again in Battle Network 2, where Mega Man uses the hub connection to sync their hearts and help Lan after he's blacked out from electromagnetic radiation. Even in Battle Network 3, Lan is able to pulse himself in through sci-fi magic, and upon meeting Mega Man in the network, the two are able to fully sync and stand toe-to-toe with overpowering foes. This connection they have goes beyond anything demonstrated by anyone else throughout the series. As later on in Battle Network 5, the bond is amplified thanks to a special system known as SoulNet. SoulNet was designed to link people and build a strife-free world, where others could trust one another, pretty much like the brother band that we see in Star Force. However, this system had some flaws, one of which was souls could be tainted with malice. While Lan had protection from it, Mega Man was fending off evil forces and being overcome. In a last-ditch effort, Lan removed his protection and used the SoulNet to boost his link. Doing so, Mega Man now took on a hub-like appearance, and is able to blast away the spiteful hate programs. It is a rather amazing feat to see the two work as they do, and when put to the test, The bond they share can pull them through any situation. In the anime, a clear time frame isn't set, so it's somewhat hard to say how much time actually passes during each event. The series takes many changes for the story, such as combining games and introducing all new events and characters. Here, Lan and Mega Man are about the same in personality. We get to see Lan's unstoppable appetite, as well as how good of an inline skater he actually is. Meanwhile, Mega Man isn't even in the show at the start. Lan has a basic normal Navi, who just isn't in sync with him. However, his dad sends him a Navi program and thus Mega Man is born. A happy and optimistic partner to Lan, as well as being the voice of reason, Mega Man retains much of who he is from the games, but with one major difference. The entire hub plot has been dropped altogether. Now the team just work together extremely well as two best friends. Aside from dropping that major part of the duo, the anime takes other liberties, such as showing just how jealous Lan gets of Chad when people talk about him. One example is how after Chad saves him with cross fusion, Lan immediately runs to his dad and complains how he isn't the only one with the ability to cross fuse anymore. The anime also had a major plot around the deletion of Mega Man. When saving Proto Man from a blast after their all-out battle in the N1 tournament, Mega Man took the blow from Pharaoh Man that resulted in his deletion. However, thanks to the bond Mega Man had with everyone, his data was able to be restored, and when being rebuilt, he was equipped with the Style Change feature. The two become Net Saviors, which is just the anime's fancy way of saying they became officials, as their activities pretty much mirror exactly what the officials do in the game. They patrol the city in hopes of stopping the spread of Dark Chips and Darkloid activities. Later on, they even become Heralds of Duo, who is there to judge their planet. With their cross-fusion intriguing him, due to the bonds that they shared, he spares the planet of judgments and watches them. In the manga, Mega Man is a bit more goofy and Lan is way more eager to battle. Mega Man joins in on this too, as the two of them just rush into battle with little thought as to what could happen to them. One thing that is much different is Mega Man doesn't hold back. If Lan is in any sort of danger, there are no punches to be pulled. Mega Man will delete whoever he needs to keep Lan safe. It is never directly stated what Mega Man is, but there is a very subtle hint at the hub-brother connection between him and Lan. There are unique things to the manga, including navis and operators syncing together, much like we see when Lan pulsed into the net in Battle Network 3 and synced with Mega Man. At one point, Mega Man is able to scout the entire internet in seconds. The whole internet. In a few seconds. His overall speed and competitive abilities are not even comparable to his portrayals in other media. Even at the end of the manga's run, Mega Man is able to save both the real world and the network from total deletion with a self-sacrificing maneuver that somehow in the end doesn't result in his deletion? Hey, you got me. While Mega Man is a warrior on the side of good, he does have a dark side that is exploited in Battle Network 4 and 5. After being tempted and forced to use a dark chip, his dark soul activates. At this point, it's up to the player if they want to tap more into the dark soul at the cost of permanently losing HP. Choosing to do so can cause Mega Man to go out of control. These dark chips are incredibly strong, and come in a variety of forms, from swords, meteors, thunder. Dark Mega Man can come in and hit with just about anything needed. The dark side is later brought out by Duo, as he's passing judgment on Earth and displays to Mega Man and Lan that there is darkness in everyone. Later in Battle Network 5, Mega Man is captured and implanted with a dark chip by Nebula. Trying to fight it, he is unable to and succumbs to the darkness, becoming the evil, true Dark Mega Man. He seems to favor the Dark Cannibal in this form. In the end, the Dark Soul is overcome thanks to Lan's bond with Mega Man, and the collective efforts of Team Colonel and or Proto Man. Version depending. Dark Mega Man is actually a unique character in the anime. After being infected by Shade Man with some dark energy, Dr. Regal extracts the Dark Aura from Mega Man and uses it to make Dark Mega Man. Dark Mega has a huge hate grudge for Mega Man and aims to delete him, going so far as to take his place in Lan's PET, causing mischief to try and convince Lan to delete him as he is too bugged to be repaired, with a plan to swap the real Mega Man in last minute. This act is heinous, trying to force Lan to actually delete his best friend. He however has a redemption moment, where he keeps Slur, one of Duo's heralds, at bay so Mega Man, Searchman, and Proto Man can find their way to Duo. In his deletion, his fragments rejoin Mega Man and the two can be one again. From the manga, Dark Mega Man comes from a parallel dark internet, along with Laser Man. His life goal is to impersonate Mega Man and make his life miserable. He goes so far to attack the nation of Shiro, triggering Searchman to seek and destroy Mega Man. Later, he poses as Mega Man and ruthlessly beats Bubble Man and Aquaman, making Roll, Guts Man, and Glide loathe him. The true goal, though, is for Dark Mega Man to absorb any dark energy from Mega Man, so he can then absorb base and open a dark hole. Jeez, a lot of dark talk, eh? Dark Mega Man succeeds in absorbing base and takes the form similar to Base Cross in doing so. In the end, Mega Man overcomes the Dark Soul with the mighty Giga Cannon. Mega Man comes with his iconic weapon, the Mega Buster, while Lan holds all the battle chips to use. The Mega Buster itself is one of the few busters that is able to fire off a true charge shot, as we see other Navis use busters in 4.5 and up. However, when charged, they unleash a unique move to them, such as Proto Man's Wide Sword, Number Man's Die Bomb, Heat Man's Heat Line. You get the idea. So taking that in, the Mega Buster itself is generally a weaker weapon, as normal shots deal absolute minimum damage, while a charge shot is equal to 10 regular shots at once. Thankfully, Mega Man can power up his Buster as needed, with power-up parts or Buster upgrade programs. His Buster can get to the point where he can delete weaker viruses with ease, just like how it's shown in the anime. While his Buster is pretty strong, Mega Man himself lacks other default weapons. However, he does have quite the arsenal of powers. Style Change is an upgrade where Mega Man gains one of the main 4 elements, fire, water, electric, or wood, and his charge shot becomes completely different. Double Soul and Cross System are forms where Mega Man takes on the essence of another Navi, gaining various properties from them. So while Mega Man himself here only has the Buster, Lan backs him up with a collection of battle chips. While the total collection of battle chips is vast, Lan seems to have a select few favorites, which we could say are most likely to be in Mega Man's arsenal. Based on what is used in the anime and manga, it seems Lan favors the usual chips in each game's starting folder, with a few select others. From merchandise to other medias, Lan uses the Cyber Sword combo often, which is Sword, Wide Sword, and Long Sword, which also makes the Program Advanced Life Sword. It's hard to go wrong here with a sword, they're just cool. Plus, Mega's gonna need something of the sort for showdowns with Proto Man. Cannon is another chip that is often shown as an alternative to firing the simple Buster. Mini Bomb is a classic. It's a simple bomb that explodes on impact, and in the anime is apparently Lan's favorite chip to spam. Spreader, as its name implies, fires a single round that has a burst area of effect after making contact. The list can go on, as really any chip from the game can be included here, but these are the main ones that we often see Lan use. Another tool to the duo is their ability to act in complete unison, known as the full Synchro. This mode amplifies the Navi's power, requires being one with your Navi, and is incredibly difficult to achieve, as both Nenop and Navi share effects of one another. Game-wise, it really didn't do anything for you until Battle Network 4, where if you countered an enemy, you would enter a state and would get a pink ring around you, and Mega Man's emotion icon would then look like it came out of Tron. While in this state, the Navi and Operator are able to perfectly execute attacks that'll now deal double damage. In the anime, this is replaced with a whole new mode, Cross Fusion. The Cross Fusion requires both the Navi and the operator to be in complete sync with one another, and when a dimensional field is up and a Synchro chip is slotted in, a Navi and operator can perform a full Sentai fusion. While in this form, the operators are mostly protected and can utilize their Navi's abilities and activate their own battle chips. Lan and MegaMan are the first ones to successfully perform a cross fusion, and end up using the form often to do battle with all kinds of evil Dark Lloids and Dark Navis from the net. Well, that covers the basics on the Battle Network protagonists. This video took a little longer to make than I was expecting, as I had to cut a few things out for simplicity's sake. So be on the lookout soon, for that cut info is getting its own video. Next time, we're going to be looking in depth at the style change feature. Hope to see y'all there. Until then, this is Rockman HQ, jacking out.